emergency service.
The scaffold collapsed! Oh God! Marco is down! He's not moving his legs!
Sir, I need you to stay calm. Where are you?
Riverside Plaza, downtown Boston, construction site. The whole scaffold just came down. 6 guys fell.
Is your friend conscious?
Yeah, he's awake, but he says he can't feel his legs. There's metal pipes on him, blood everywhere. I can't move the pipes, they're too heavy.
What's his name?
Marco Reyes. Please send someone fast.
Ambulances are on the way. How high did he fall from?
4th floor, maybe 40 feet. He fell with all the metal. Everything came down.
Don't try to move him. Keep him still. Talk to him. Help is 3 minutes away.
His wife, she's pregnant. Please hurry.
They're coming, sir. Stay on the line.
That morning, Sophia was in the kitchen cooking eggs while I sat at the table watching her and thinking, like I always did, how lucky I was. We had been married for 6 months, and now she was 6 months pregnant. Diego was coming. Our son was coming. 3 weeks earlier, we had bought a new house. It was small, but it was ours. A 2-bedroom house with a little garden, and the 2nd bedroom was going to be Diego's room. That morning, I told Sophia I'd come home early from work so we could buy paint for the baby's room. She smiled, placed her hand on her belly, and asked, "Blue?" I said, "Light blue, ocean blue." She kissed me and said, "Be careful." And I was careful. I always was. But sometimes being careful isn't enough. Sometimes things go beyond your control. And that day, at exactly 2:15 in the afternoon, everything changed. In 1 second, my entire life collapsed, and nothing would ever be the same again. That morning, I arrived at the Riverside Plaza construction site at 7:30. We were building a 20-story office tower. My team and I were working on the exterior, installing scaffolding made of metal poles and wooden planks that reached up to the 4th floor. There were 6 of us up there that day. Me, Carlos, and 4 others. We were preparing to mount facade panels. Carlos had been my best friend for 7 years. We had coffee together every morning, watched soccer on weekends, and he was going to be Diego's godfather. At 2 p.m., we climbed up to the 4th level. At 2:15 exactly, Carlos and I were lifting a heavy panel. It was heavy but manageable for the 2 of us. Carlos said, 3, 2, 1, lift! We lifted. And that's when I felt the platform beneath my feet shake. For a second I thought it was the wind, but then came a sharp metallic crack, loud and violent. I looked at Carlos. His eyes were wide open, his mouth frozen, and then the platform gave way. People say time slows down when you fall. For me, it was both slow and fast. My mind saw everything in detail, but my body couldn't react in time. The scaffolding started to collapse, one section after another like dominoes. Metal pipes, wooden planks, tools, everything was falling with us. Carlos was screaming. There were other voices too, but I didn't scream. I couldn't. I couldn't breathe. All I could think about was Sophia and Diego and that ocean blue room. I remember thinking, please, not now. It took 2 seconds to hit the ground. 4 floors, 12 meters, and then everything went black. I didn't fully lose consciousness, but for a moment it felt like I had vanished. When I opened my eyes, I saw the sky, gray and cloudy, and there was a ringing in my ears, like a bomb had gone off beside me. For the first few seconds, there was only confusion. I was trying to understand what had just happened. And then the pain came. Pain from everywhere, radiating from my pelvis, my back, my legs. I tried to move, but my legs didn't respond. When I lifted my head, I saw metal pipes lying across me, heavy steel pipes pinning me down. I couldn't see my legs, and that's when the fear came. Real fear, because I thought, I'm paralyzed. I'll never walk again. I'll never hold Diego in my arms. There were voices all around me, screams, crying, someone shouting, "Help! Please help!" And then I heard Carlos. He was yelling my name, running toward me. His face was covered in blood, his arm bent at a strange angle, but he was on his feet. He dropped to his knees beside me. "Marco, don't move. Stay still," he said. But I couldn't stay still. I told him I couldn't feel my legs, and I saw his face turn pale. He looked at the metal pipes, then back at me, and pulled out his phone. but his hands were shaking so badly he almost dropped it. For the first few seconds there was only confusion. I was trying to understand what had just happened, and then the pain came. Pain from everywhere, radiating from my pelvis, my back, my legs. I tried to move, but my legs didn't respond. When I lifted my head, I saw metal pipes lying across me, heavy steel pipes pinning me down. I couldn't see my legs, and that's when the fear came. Real fear, because I thought, I'm paralyzed. I'll never walk again. I'll never hold Diego in my arms. There were voices all around me, screams, crying, someone shouting, "Help! Please help!" And then I heard Carlos. He was yelling my name, running toward me. His face was covered in blood, his arm bent at a strange angle, but he was on his feet. He dropped to his knees beside me. "Marco, don't move. Stay still," he said. But I couldn't stay still. I told him I couldn't feel my legs, and I saw his face turn pale. He looked at the metal pipes, then back at me, and pulled out his phone, but his hands were shaking so badly he almost dropped it. There was movement around me. People were running, other workers, the site supervisor. Everyone looked terrified. The supervisor knelt beside me and said, "Hang in there, son. Help is on the way," but I didn't feel strong. I felt myself fading. Then my phone started ringing in my pocket. I knew the sound instantly, Sophia's special ringtone. I looked at Carlos and said, "Sophia's calling. Tell her I'm okay." Carlos took the phone out but didn't answer it. It kept ringing. Once, twice, 3 times. I knew she was worried. She knew something was wrong, and I just kept thinking, "I'm sorry, Sophia. I'm so sorry." Then I heard sirens, faint at first, then closer, louder. The fire department arrived. They brought a huge saw to cut through the metal. The sound was deafening, but I didn't care. I just wanted to be free from those pipes. It took 12 minutes. 12 minutes lying there, bleeding, waiting, wondering if these were my last moments, if this was how it ended, and there was nothing anyone could do. They finally cut through the metal pipes and lifted them off me, and that's when I saw my legs for the first time. They were twisted at strange angles, and there was blood. So much blood. The worst part was that I couldn't feel them. Nothing. It was like they didn't belong to me anymore. They carefully placed me on a stretcher, but every tiny movement brought a new wave of pain. Someone stuck a needle into my arm, a line, an IV, and started fluids. Carlos came over. His arm was already in a splint. "I'm coming with you, Marco," he said. "In another ambulance, but I'm coming. You're not alone," I tried to speak, to say, "If I don't," but Carlos cut me off. "Stop. You're going to be fine. You're going to get better. I'm still going to be Diego's godfather, remember?" He forced a smile, and I nodded weakly. They loaded me into the ambulance. The doors slammed shut, the siren wailed, and we started moving. I barely remember the inside of the ambulance. Everything was blurry. I don't know if it was from the pain or the shock. There was a paramedic beside me, a young man calm but focused. He kept talking, asking questions. My name, my age, if I was married. I tried to answer, but my voice was weak. I remember whispering, "Sophia, she's pregnant. 6 months." And I saw the paramedic's face change. He looked sad for a moment, then said, "You'll see her again, Marco." But I didn't believe him. I could feel life slipping away from me. As the ambulance sped through the streets, every turn made my body shake on the stretcher, and each jolt sent waves of pain from my pelvis through my whole body. Breathing became harder. My eyes wanted to close, but the paramedic said, "Stay with me, Marco. Keep your eyes open. Tell me about Sophia." I tried to speak. "We met at a dance school," I said. "I didn't know how to dance, but I went for her." The paramedic smiled, but I couldn't keep going. I was so tired. "I'm sorry, Sophia," I said softly. Then the ambulance stopped. The doors flew open. Bright lights flooded in. People were running, shouting, and everything started to move faster. I remember the hospital in fragments, like snapshots. One moment I'd see something, then darkness, then another flash of something else. The first thing I remember clearly was the ceiling lights. They were blindingly bright, and I kept blinking, trying to focus. There were voices, so many voices, people shouting, but I couldn't make out the words. Everything sounded muffled, like I was underwater. I caught fragments. Blood pressure, heart rate, pelvis, and then a face appeared above me. A woman, a doctor with green eyes. "Marco," she said, "move your legs for me." I tried. God, I tried so hard. My right toes twitched slightly, but the left side, nothing. Completely dead. I saw the look on her face. Concern, fear. And then I heard her say something to someone else. Nerve damage. That phrase echoed in my head. Nerve damage. Paralysis. Wheelchair. I'll never hold Diego in my arms. Then she touched my abdomen. Just a light pressure, but it felt like a knife twisting inside me. I screamed. She said softly, "I'm sorry, but I had to check." Then turned to the others, speaking fast, using medical words I couldn't understand. The urgency in her voice terrified me. They brought a machine next, and she squeezed cold gel onto my stomach. She moved something, a probe, across my skin while watching a monitor. Her brows furrowed. That wasn't a good sign, and I knew it. Then someone brought a wide strap, like a belt, and placed it around my waist. They began tightening it. Oh God, the pain! It was like being torn in half. I screamed, begged them to stop, tears running down my face. The doctor's voice cut through the noise. "I know, Marco, I know, but this will save you!" After they tightened the belt, I felt a little relief. The pain was still there, but it was different, less sharp, and I could finally breathe again. I started to look around. There were so many people all moving quickly, their voices overlapping. They connected more lines to my arm, hung up bags, red liquid, blood, someone said. "We're giving you blood." Slowly, warmth returned to my body, and the cold that had crawled through my chest began to fade. The doctor was still looking at the screen, talking to others in urgent tones. "Take him to CT," she said, and the stretcher began to move. The ceiling lights flashed above me, one after another, as we raced down the hall. We entered a room with a large circular machine. "Don't move," they said. The machine whirred to life, spinning around me. I lay still, wondering what they would find inside me. How bad it was. If I would die there, inside that machine. When it was over, they rushed me back into the corridor. The doctor was beside me, speaking on the phone. I caught a few words. Surgery, artery, bleeding. My heart started pounding. "Doctor," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Am I going to die?" She stopped and looked straight into my eyes. "Marco," she said gently, "your condition is very serious, but you're young and strong. We're going to fight. You have to fight too, for Sofia, for Diego." Tears filled my eyes. "I'll fight," I said, but deep down I didn't know if I could. I was so tired, so drained. We reached the operating room. The doors opened, and the cold air hit me immediately. Everything was bright, too bright, and there were so many people, all in green gowns, masks covering their faces. Someone leaned over me, placing a mask near my mouth. "Count backward from 10, Marco," they said. 10, 9, 8, I began, my thoughts drifting to Sofia, to Diego, to that ocean blue room. 7, 6, I prayed silently. "Please let me live." 5, and then there was nothing but deep, endless darkness. When I first woke up, I had no idea where I was. All I could feel was pain, and all I could hear were sounds. Beep, 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 a machine somewhere near me. I tried to open my eyes, but they felt impossibly heavy, as if they were made of stone. Then I heard a voice, a familiar voice. "Marco, Marco, baby." It was Sofia. I forced my eyes open, slowly, painfully, and there she was, right beside me, holding my hand, tears running down her face. "You're here," she said. "You came back." I tried to speak, but there was something in my mouth, a tube helping me breathe. Sofia shook her head gently. "Don't talk. Just look at me. You're here. You're alive." And I started to cry, because she was right. I was alive. I hadn't died. Later, they told me what had happened. The surgery lasted 8 hours. 2 teams had worked on me, vascular surgeons and orthopedic surgeons. They had opened my abdomen and found the torn artery, something called the iliac artery, a major vessel that had ruptured, pouring blood inside me. I had lost 2 liters. They repaired it and fixed my pelvis, which had been shattered in 3 places. They used screws and plates, metal holding my bones together. The surgery was brutal. Twice, my heart nearly stopped. My blood pressure had crashed, but they brought me back. I spent the first 3 days in the ICU, intubated, a machine breathing for me. Those were the critical days, they said. Anything could have gone wrong, but it didn't. I fought. That's what the doctors said. You fought, Marco. You didn't give up. I didn't remember any of it. Just darkness, and sometimes a distant voice. Sophia's voice. Hold on, Marco, I'm here, she had said. Maybe that voice is what kept me alive. On the 4th day, they removed the tube. I started breathing on my own again, and for the first time, I could talk. My first word was, Diego. Sophia laughed and cried at the same time. He's okay, she said. He keeps kicking. He misses you. She took my hand and placed it on her belly. And then I felt it, Diego's kick. I broke down completely. I cried harder than I ever had in my life because I realized how close I had come to missing everything. To missing him, missing her, missing life itself. My legs were still weak. My left leg was numb. My right could move slightly. The doctors told me there was nerve damage, but it might heal over time. I'd need months of therapy, maybe longer. Maybe I'd never fully recover, but I would walk again. I wouldn't be trapped in a wheelchair, and that alone was a miracle. Because the truth was, I should have died that day. The statistics said it clearly. Half of the people who fall from that height don't survive, but I did. I stayed in the hospital for 10 days, 3 in intensive care, 7 in a regular room, and each day I got a little better, though it was slow, painfully slow. Physical therapy started on the 6th day. Simple movements at first, but every one of them hurt. Sometimes I cried because my body wouldn't listen to me. Carlos came to visit. His arm was in a cast, but he was okay. We're lucky, he said. 6 of us fell, 5 survived. That's when I realized someone had died. It could have been me. On the 11th day, I was discharged in a wheelchair. Sophia took me home, and when we crossed the doorway, I cried. I had thought I'd never see that door again. Weeks passed. Therapy continued. First, I walked with a frame, then with crutches, then without them, though I still limped. The doctors said the nerve damage in my left leg might be permanent, but at least I could walk. 2 months later, Diego was born, early but healthy. They placed him in my arms, and it was the most powerful feeling I'd ever known. I cried. Sophia smiled through her tears and said, "We made it." We both survived. Carlos came over, and we painted Diego's room together. Ocean blue, just like we had planned. 6 months have passed since the accident. I still limp. The pain is still there sometimes. There's metal in my pelvis, screws and plates, and they'll stay there forever. I couldn't go back to construction, so I found an office job at a small company. The pay's less, but I'm working. Sometimes I still dream about that day. The fall, the noise, the pain, and I wake up drenched in sweat. Sophia turns to me and whispers, "It's over now." But it's not really. That day will always stay with me. People ask, "Do you regret going to work that day?" And I don't know how to answer, because yes, I do. My life changed, my body changed, but I'm also grateful, because I'm alive. I get to see Diego every day. I wake up next to Sophia. That's a miracle. I went to the funeral of the man who didn't make it. I saw his wife crying, and I thought, it could have been me. Why him, not me? There's no answer. Sometimes life just chooses. Carlos still apologizes. "I wish I'd grabbed you," he says. But I tell him, "It wasn't your fault. It was an accident, and it's true. The scaffolding was faulty. The company paid compensation, but no amount of money can fix what's broken or bring back what's lost." Sometimes I watch Diego sleeping in his crib and think, he's the reason I survived. He's why I fought. One day I'll tell him, "Your father fought for you." I hope he'll understand. Now, when I look at scaffolds, I see them differently. I see danger. I see how close I came. I should have died that day, but I didn't. And now, every day feels like a gift. Every laugh from Diego, every kiss from Sophia, it's all a gift, because I could have lost everything. But I didn't.